أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما رب زدني علما رب زدني علما السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Now we are finished with the first lesson. Now we will go on to the first poem, The Squirrel. So all of us would have seen the squirrel, isn't it? We have usually see them. Where do we see them? Running on a tree, and we would have seen them eating a fruit or a nut. So this poem is written by Mildred Bowers Armstrong. It's a very short poem, and the poet is fascinated by its tail. So he says he wore a question mark for tail, an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. He liked to tease and play. And if he ran around his tree, he went the other way. Now, this poem has about 6 lines, and you can see that at the end of every line, some of the words are rhyming. The alternate sentences have a rhyming word. Like he wore a question mark for tail, an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. He liked to tease and play. Now, grey and play, they are the rhyming words. And if he ran around the tree, he went the other way. Now, here, grey, play, and way, they are the rhyming words. Mildred Bowers Armstrong. Now, the squirrel is sitting on a tree, and its tail is like a question mark. It's very bushy, and it's looking like a question mark. So the poet says an overcoat of grey. What is overcoat of grey? So he says it's wearing an overcoat of grey, the color of a squirrel. All of you know, isn't it? You would have seen them running around the tree, and when we go near it, it just runs away. It is very tiny and very good looking one, and very cute, isn't it? But when it sits on a floor, or when it is moving around, the tail looks like a paintbrush. It looks like a question mark only when it is sitting on a tree or sitting and eating something. So he wore a question mark for tail, an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. He liked to tease and play. And if we ran around his tree, he went the other way. So he doesn't wait. If you go near it, what does he do? He runs away. He doesn't stay there if you are going near it. So Mildred Bowers Armstrong has written. When I say Armstrong, what do you remember? Do you remember anybody's name? Yes, Neil Armstrong, who was the first human to set foot on the moon in the year on 20th July 1969. I think you will have for this question for GK. So Neil Armstrong, he was the first human to set foot on the moon. Not this Armstrong, it is Neil Armstrong on 20th July 1969. Now, why does the poet say the squirrel wore a question mark for tail? So you are asked to write this poem in your book. You can take a new page, write the heading, the squirrel. Always remember to write the heading of the lesson and the date you are supposed to write. And I request you to write the poem as well. And you can find a picture of this poem, the squirrel, and you can stick on it on one side, and you can write this poem and the name of the poet also, and I'll be sending you the question answers which you can write. Now, why does the poet say the squirrel wore a question mark for tail? Why does he say that? Because did he wear a tail? We do not usually say the squirrel is wearing a tail. We usually say the squirrel has a tail. Draw a squirrel or find a picture of a squirrel sitting on the ground. How would you describe its tail? So, do we usually say that an animal wears a tail? What do we say? we usually say it has a tail. Then he likes to tease and play. Who is teasing whom and how? Who is teasing? The poet. The squirrel is teasing, or when the poet is going around, the squirrel is teasing the poet with whom he plays. So it runs away when the poet is going near it. The squirrel, when he is near the tree, the poet tries to go near it, and the squirrel goes the other way. It's a small poem which you can write down and go through the question answers. I'll be sending you the question answer, inshallah. And now I will go on with the grammar part. Now, first lesson we have done. I hope all of you have done your work. You are supposed to write the heading of the lesson, the question answers, and also the meaning. At the beginning you can write the meaning and then the question answer. You have already sent. Some of you have sent me the PDF. The ones who have not sent, please send the PDF of your notes. This work poem also, as you see, you can as you finish this, you can write the poem and send me the PDF. You can have the grammar book now. You have a textbook for grammar, and for grammar notes writing, you can take your notes, and at the end, from behind part, you can take a quarter of the book, or a few pages. You take it for the grammar. Now you can divide your book into half, and again the latter half, you can make it into another middle portion, and you can write and keep it for the grammar, inshallah. Now I'll be starting with the sentences. Now, do you know what is a phrase? What is a phrase? Can you tell me what is a phrase? Phrase is some groups of words that make sense but not a complete sense, and it is called the phrase. And what is a sentence? Sentence means a group of words that makes complete sense is called the a group of words that makes complete sense is called a sentence. So when do we have we make a sentence, isn't it? When we want to express something, what is in our mind, we want to convey the message, we form a sentence and we tell it to others. Like whatever, you put the words together to form a sentence. So in a phrase which does not convey the complete message, it does not give you the complete message, only some groups of words that make it or make sense but not complete sense. It can be with one word or with the group of words. It is called a phrase. Then you have also the clauses. So clause means also is a group of words that forms part of a sentence and has a subject and a finite verb of its own. A clause has only one finite verb in it. Now it may or may not be complete sentence. Clause may be complete or incomplete sentence. Now we will go with the sentence. The detailed study of clause we will do it later, but now we will go with the sentence. The sentence, which is a group of words that makes complete sense. Now we have 4 kinds of sentences. What are they? 4 kinds of sentences. Sentences are of 4 kinds. They are the assertive or the declarative sentence. Declarative means, when you say declarative, you can say, no, it is a statement. Then we have the interrogative sentence. Interrogative means it's a question sentence. Then we have the imperative sentence, which means the sentence may be of a command or an instruction or an advice or a request. Now we have the 4th one, exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentence means with a sentence with an exclamation mark. Now here you have this flow chart. Now you can see this sentence. It has 4: the assertive or the declarative sentence, the interrogative sentence, a question mark, which ends with a question mark, and imperative is a command, instruction, advice or a request, and exclamatory sentence which has an exclamatory marks. Now there are four kinds. Now assertive or the declarative sentence. An assertive or a declarative sentence says or states something. In that we have two types, that is affirmative or positive and the negative sentence. An assertive sentence is of two types, that is affirmative or positive and the negative. The fox looked at the piece of cheese. So that is a affirmative sentence. That is the positive sentence. The fox did not like it. Here did not has come. Did not, it's a negative sentence. We put a full stop at the end of a assertive sentence. Always assertive sentence and imperative sentence both have a full stop at the end. An interrogative sentence or the question sentence. An interrogative sentence asks a question. So interrogative sentence are also of two kinds. There are interrogative sentence has two kinds, yes no question and WH question. Now do you like stories? When you ask do you like stories, you will say yes or no. Then you have what kind of stories do you like? That time you say in a full stop. The sentence one above is a yes or no question. It means that this kind of question can be answered in yes or no. Such a question begins with an auxiliary verb. That we will do in later. About verbs we will be studying. Then sentence 2 begins with a question word, that is what. What kind of stories do you like? Since most of the question words what, when, where, who, whose, whom, why begin with WH, such questions are often referred to as WH questions. These questions cannot be answered in yes or no, isn't it? We don't say yes or no when WH questions are asked. We have to say in a complete statement. Some statement has to be made to answer them. Now we will go to, I hope you have understood the two types of questions, that is interrogative and declarative. Now the third one we have is imperative questions, imperative sentence. Now what is an imperative sentence? Imperative sentence. An imperative sentence expresses a command or an order, an instruction, a request or an advice. For example, when you give an example, it will be easy for you to understand. Keep off the grass. We usually see this, isn't it? When we go to gardens, we can see this board put up there. So it is a command. Keep off the grass. So don't walk on the grass. Why they ask us not to walk on the grass? Because if many people walk on the grass cannot grow. It will not look green. It will be all destroyed, isn't it? So they ask us not to. We have the pathway where we are supposed to walk and keep off the grass. That command is written there. So this sentence also ends with a full stop. Put this notice on the notice board. That is an instruction. The teacher might ask you to put this notice on the notice board. So that is an instruction. Pass me the sugar please. That is a request, because we are asking please. So or please pass me the sugar. Either way you can say pass me the sugar please or please pass me the sugar. Both are requests. So do your homework regularly. That is an advice from someone. Or they will say your teacher or your elders or your parents. They will tell you to do your homework regularly. It is an advice. An imperative sentence ends with a full stop. So imperative sentence has four types. Therefore are of four types. They are command. The sentence may be a command, it may be an instruction, it may be a request, or it may be an advice. It is the imperative sentence. Now the last one exclamatory sentence. That is very easy to identify, because always the exclamatory sentences will have an exclamation mark. You know what is an exclamation mark? Which comes with a surprise, isn't it? Exclamation. An exclamatory sentence expresses some strong feelings. For example, how beautiful the butterfly is. So you are looking at some wonders or something beautiful. You want to express yourself. How do you say? The butterfly is very beautiful. So then you will put this exclamation mark. What a nuisance it is. Somebody is disturbing you. So you want to express your the feelings. So what a nuisance it is. So exclamatory sentences usually begin with how or what. We put a, so it usually begins with how or what. We put a mark of exclamation, that is what I have shown you, at the end of an exclamatory sentence. Now I hope you have understood with this, and any doubts you can ask me. Now I will go on to the next one. So you have to do these exercises. Page number, the first page. So I told you what is a phrase. So phrase means it has a meaning but not a complete meaning. So on page number 1 you have the exercise number 1, which you can do it. That is, you have to put a cross. The whole school beautifully decorated. So does it convey you the complete sense? So you have to mark whether if it is right. If it is a sentence, put a tick mark in the box. If it is not a sentence, you just put a cross. So the whole school beautifully decorated. Is it a sentence? Essays is the of the better too. Is it a sentence? Does it convey you a complete sense? This is the better of the two essays. So the correct one, you mark it. We will have the discussion next class. The whole furniture in all these you go through them, and if it is a sentence you put a tick mark. If it is not a sentence, you just put a cross. So I want you to do that exercise. Then next, now which next one you can do exercise number 4. You can complete that. Fill in the blanks with suitable question words. So dash has been appointed the head girl. You have to use this what, which, or who, how, whom, any of those questions. You can just write them. Now I will go with this subject and predicate. Now we have a sentence, isn't it? We have in a sentence 2 parts. What are they? The parts of a sentence. We have 2 parts in a sentence. A sentence is made up of 2 parts. It is subject and predicate. Subject, that part of the sentence the part of a sentence which names what the sentence is about is called the subject. So what is the subject? That part of the sentence which names what the sentence is about. Now predicate is the part of the sentence which says something about the subject. So the predicate. So usually subject, and we have a verb in the predicate, the side of the predicate. So verb, and the rest of the sentence is the predicate. Subject usually is the part of the sentence which you are talking about. You are saying something about is called the subject, and the rest of the sentence is the predicate. Now here all the players contributed to the victory of the team. Now what are you talking about? You are talking about the players, all the players. So all the players is the subject, contributed to the victory of the team, that is the predicate. The subject of a sentence usually comes first, but occasionally it may be placed after the predicate. Now sometimes the subject, mostly it comes at the beginning of a sentence, but Sometimes it can come at the end of a sentence. Like for example, in the heart of the forest lived a saint. Now, where did the saint live? He lived in the heart of the forest. You're talking about a saint. Now, the saint is coming at the end. So, a saint is the subject. You're talking about a saint. And where does he stay? In the heart of the forest. In the heart of the forest lived a saint. Now, first part is this predicate, and the latter part is the subject. The verb is an essential part of the predicate. So, always the verb is there in the essential part of the predicate. In an imperative sentence, the subject is always you. You know what is an imperative sentence, isn't it? Now, in an imperative sentence, the subject is always you, but it is implied and not stated. It is implied. Sometimes it may not be there, but you have to think it as you, implied and not stated. For example, sit down. So instead of saying you sit down, it is said. So you is the subject. Then open your books at page 28. So instead of saying you open your book, it's said as open your books at page 28. So I hope you have understood. Any doubt you can ask me. I will be sending you the notes. So I hope you have understood. At the latter part of your notebook, take a quarter portion of your note pages, and you can write it as for grammar, and you can start with this. Please remember to write the heading of every grammar part. Like if you're writing subject and predicate, write it at the top and write the date, and you write the notes. Even for sentences, you write sentences, and you can write exactly the notes immediately. Don't accumulate your work. Please do it on time so that everything is easy, and you can send me the PDF immediately, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.